You've probably heard it 1,000 times. You need to get out more. You're wasting your life staying inside. Don't you get lonely? And every time someone says it, you feel that familiar twinge of shame, like there's something fundamentally wrong with the fact that your ideal Friday night involves your couch, a good book, and absolutely no social obligations. But I'm here to tell you that the diagnosis you've been given is wrong. You are not antisocial. You are not broken. You are not wasting your life. You are what psychologists call a sanctuary builder. And here's what no one tells you. Some of the most successful creators and thinkers in history scored off the charts on introversion scales. Isaac Newton rarely left his room. Emily Dickinson wrote nearly 1,800 poems from her bedroom. Bill Gates takes think weeks where he isolates himself completely. Your love of home isn't holding you back. It might be your greatest advantage. To understand yourself, we need to look at how your brain processes stimulation differently than the other 70% of the population. Think of the human nervous system like a battery. Most people's batteries drain slowly in social situations and recharge quickly with external stimulation. But your battery drains rapidly in high stimulation environments and recharges slowly through solitude and familiar spaces. Neuroscience has identified 3 specific differences in your hardware that explain why home feels like oxygen. First, your brain has higher baseline cortical arousal. A psychologist named Hans Eysenck scanned introvert brains and found something remarkable. Even when you're doing nothing, your brain is firing like you're solving a complex puzzle. You're already busy upstairs. When you add social interaction, bright lights, and unpredictable environments on top of that baseline, you hit overstimulation faster than others. That's not weakness. That's your nervous system saying, I'm already processing a lot. I don't have room for more input. Second, your dopamine system works differently. Extroverts need higher levels of external stimulation, novelty, social interaction, risk, to feel that dopamine hit. But your brain is more sensitive to dopamine. You reach satisfaction with less external input. A quiet evening at home, a familiar routine, a solo project. These activities give you enough dopamine without the crash that comes from overstimulation. You're not boring, you're efficient. And third, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for deep thinking, is more active during rest. Your brain thrives in low stimulation environments where it can process, reflect, and create. This is why being home doesn't feel empty to you. Your internal landscape is so rich that solitude feels like freedom, not loneliness. Now, you might be asking, if this makes social situations so draining, why did evolution keep this trait? Because the tribe needed both hunters and philosophers. Picture this. It's 50,000 years ago. The hunting party comes back, celebrating their kill. Everyone's loud, excited, passing around meat. But you're sitting by the fire, watching the flames, and you notice a pattern in how the wood burns. 3 months later, when winter comes and half the tribe is freezing, you're the one who figured out how to keep fire alive through the night. They survived because you needed quiet to think. The extroverts were essential for hunting and defending the group, but a tribe of only extroverts would make impulsive decisions and miss important details. The tribe needed the observers, the thinkers, the ones who noticed patterns and created tools during the quiet hours. Your need for solitude wasn't laziness. It was the space required for innovation. But I need to warn you about something. There's a fine line between sanctuary and prison. There's a difference between choosing solitude because it nourishes you and hiding at home because you're afraid of the world. The key question to ask yourself is, am I staying home because it feels good or because leaving feels unbearable? If it's the latter, your nervous system might be stuck in protective shutdown mode. Your amygdala perceives the outside world as too threatening. Over time, your brain learns that staying home equals safety and leaving equals danger. This is when solitude becomes a cage. If this resonates, it's worth talking to a therapist who understands social anxiety. But if you're staying home because it genuinely restores you, because you're choosing depth over distraction, then you're not avoiding life, you're living it in a way that matches your neurology. Most people are like solar panels. They absorb energy from external sources, people, events, stimulation. But you're more like a nuclear reactor. Your energy is generated internally, through reflection, solitude, and depth. If you try to force yourself to operate like a solar panel, you'll burn out. You'll feel chronically exhausted, anxious, and depleted. Research in personality shows something powerful called person-environment fit. When your environment matches your psychological needs, you don't just survive, you thrive with the depth and creativity that externally driven people struggle to access. So here's what's actually happening when you choose to stay home. You're engaging in what psychologists call restorative solitude. Your prefrontal cortex is processing the week's interactions, making meaning, consolidating memories. Your nervous system is returning to baseline. Your creativity is refueling. This isn't emptiness, this is maintenance. Here are 3 strategies to honor this wiring. First, reframe your social energy as a finite resource. Track your energy over a week. Notice which interactions drain you fastest and budget accordingly. If you know a work event will drain you to 20%, protect the next day for recovery. This isn't selfishness, this is intelligent energy management. Second, create a restorative niche. A physical space in your home designed for nervous system regulation. Soft lighting, comfortable textures, zero stimulation, no screens, no notifications. When you come home overstimulated, spend 15 minutes there and let your system reset. Third, practice selective socializing. You don't owe the world an extroverted performance. You're allowed to say no to group dinners and yes to coffee with one person. You're allowed to leave parties after an hour. The people who matter will understand that your capacity is different, and your depth makes up for your frequency. Here's the truth society doesn't tell you. There is no moral superiority in being extroverted. Your preference for home, for quiet, for small circles, that's your brain knowing what it needs to function at its best. And when you honor that, you unlock the gifts that come with deep processing. Creativity, insight, meaningful relationships, and inner peace that people constantly seeking external validation will never access. Remember, you're nuclear, not solar. You generate power from within. You weren't meant to be like everyone else. You were meant to be exactly this. Someone who finds richness in stillness, depth in silence, and freedom in solitude. That's not a flaw, that's your design.